Welcome to Big Fish. My guest today is the president of the Asian Development Bank, Haruhiko Kuroda. Thank you for joining us. Now, almost a year ago, everyone thought that the credit crisis was just an American thing. How did so many people misread it?
I think things have changed since last September, when a big investment bank in the United States collapsed. And then a huge credit crunch developed all over the world, including in Asia. Also, economic growth in the US, Europe, and Japan simply nosedived, affecting emerging economies in Asia. So I think now people understand that decoupling is not a reality in a globalized world. So Asia certainly is dependent on healthy economic growth and sound financial sector in US and Europe. Now, these two conditions are damaged, so that Asia is now affected quite seriously.
So what then is the outlook for the Asian economies as a whole in terms of growth?
I think some further slowdown this year would be inevitable. For instance, we expect some slowdown in Asia. For instance, 2007, developing Asia, the entire Asia excluding Japan, Australia, New Zealand, recorded very high growth, 9% growth. And then last year, 2008, slowed down to around 6.5%. And probably this year, around 5%. So further slowdown this year would be inevitable. But unlike developed countries, developing Asia would not have negative growth. 5% growth is still sizable growth.
But of the economies in Asia, which are the ones you think are going to be worse off, and which are the ones which are in a slightly better position to ride the storm, if you will?
I think, for instance, India has been doing relatively well, because Indian growth, yes, it is slowing down from 9% in 2007 to 7% in 2008, and this year probably 6 to 7%. So slowing down, yes, but the extent of economic deceleration has been relatively mild in this country. While if you look at countries like China, China recorded 13% growth in 2007 and 9% 2008, and this year probably 7 to 8%. So the extent of slowdown in China is much bigger than slowdown in India, simply because the Chinese economy is more dependent on exports than the Indian economy.
Now, you know, a lot of people argue that when fast-growing economies in Asia slow down for several quarters, technically Asia is also in recession. Do you feel that way?
You see, in developed countries, usually a recession is defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. Now, in developing countries, that is extremely unlikely, and so in developing countries, recessions could be defined as sort of continued economic slowdown. But at this moment, most of Asian countries, including China and India, are not in a recession. Slowing down, yes. Deceleration of economic growth, yes. But probably they are not at this moment in a recession.